Hey, this is QuirkyCubes, and I've been wanting to make a video on how to prepare cast parts for final assembly. So these are Alphaminx pieces, and this puzzle is kind of an extreme example of the kind of work that goes into finishing cast parts, because honestly my molds for this puzzle are not very good, and they produce a lot of defective or otherwise hard to clean up pieces. So I'm just going to go through each different type of piece on this puzzle and then show how I clean it up and prepare it for final assembly. So this is one of the edge turning center pieces. It needs a little bit of work because the molding line occurs right across the edge where the pieces connect to the center, and sometimes a little bit of expansion occurs along that joint. So I just flatten out each side of the piece, and that makes the puzzle a little bit better turning and removes some of the rough edges. Also, there are a couple mold defects with this piece. On the bottom of the piece there must have been a little clay that got into the master while I was molding it, so there's this little bump that I have to sand off every time. There's a similar problem on another spot on the piece as well. Due to another molding defect, part of the piece needs to be re-drilled for the screw to go through. This piece also needs a special type of screw because the hole is slightly smaller to make room for this thin section. The vertex centerpiece is a little easier. Both of these pieces cast pretty well, so they aren't a huge amount of work to clean up. Now the face centers tend to cast too thick, so they can be a little bit of work to clean up. Just trying to get all the flashing off and make sure all the pieces fit into it correctly. So the worst I get on the edge pieces is sometimes just a little bit of misalignment like that, but for the most part these molds are pretty reliable, so the edge pieces require not too much cleanup. Sometimes there are little sections of plastic missing that need to be filled in with super glue or some other compound. So now all that's left are the corners, and these can be tricky because of a molding error that I made early on that causes the pieces to get misaligned about half the time that I cast them. So there are still a few things left to do with it. First of all, I have to fill in these holes in the center pieces, which I do by cutting out a little piece of plastic to protect the screw and then filling it over with white milliput. And then I still have to glue these center caps on once I've figured out the tensions, and finally spray paint or clear coat it, and that'll help protect it from dust and ultraviolet light.